Hello, all of my kings, queens, and everything in between. Welcome back to the True Crime Story Time, where I'm going to be getting into everything dark, evil, and salacious. But what we not going to do is get into the inappropriate details and being sensitive to the victims, because we not doing that. Over here, we going to bully the perpetrators of these crimes and make fun of them and give them the lashings they should have gotten in school. Yeah. Anyway, today on the docket, we have Mr. Edwisha Gein. Yes, that's right, Mr. Edwisha Gein. One thing about Edwisha that has always been very concerning to me is the miscategorization of him as a serial unaliver, and he only had 2 victims. What's up with that? Anyway, he was born on August 27th, 1906. He's ancient. And he was the second of 2 sons to George and Augusta in Wisconsin. Plainfield, Wisconsin, to be exact. I don't know anything about Wisconsin. I don't know nothing good that came out of Wisconsin but Trixie Mattel. So yeah, Augusta was religious to the point of being a fanatic and would often tell her kids how evil women were. Like, girl, you acting like you ain't a woman. I hate a self-hating woman. She taught her sons and basically told them every chance that she got, these women is giving Nelly Furtado teas. Do with that what you will. Gein, over time, grew to become obsessed with his mother and her fanaticism. It went from, why is she always going off? To, yeah, go off, queen. And he was literally co-signing the foolishness. He was sitting there like, yes, you better tell me about how all these women are trash. She's my diva. Like most of the queer kids I know, we grew up idolizing Madonna, Beyonce, Lady Gaga. It was his Bible-thumping mama for him. They didn't have no pop stars, nothing. Gein's father was a violent liquor, and he used to hit the bottle and then hit his kids. We hate an abusive man. We hate an abusive man. But one thing I hate even more than that is a woman that co-signs the foolishness. How you so mad at women? You so angry and filled with all of this vitriol for these women, but your husband around here knocking your kids upside the head? Augusta and Gein's father, George, had farmland in Plainfield, and she took full advantage of that. She was like, oh, we got all this land. Ain't none of y'all gonna be around my kids. These my babies. Yeah, they don't need to be around you. Stay away from my boys. You boy moms. You concern me. Sadly, gladly, George ended up dying of a real cute heart failure. Real cute. This cute. This cute. This cute. A real cute heart failure, girl. And he died at the age of 66 in 1940, which led Ed and his brother Henry to begin doing odd jobs to help cover the family's living expenses, child. Now, one thing about Ed, apparently, he was real good with the kids. I'm side-eyeing that. Because who in their right mind is trusting a man with watching their children? I'm sorry. Oh, I don't know. But it was said that Gein got on real good with the kids because he related more to the kids than he did other adults. Not you around here sitting at the children's table instead of over here with the grown folks playing spades. Ain't nobody side-eye that. Like, his brother Henry began dating a divorced mother of two, which I'm sure Augusta didn't approve of because she felt like women were so evil and so dark and demonic. Little did she know the little demon she was raising. Henry, Gein's brother, Ed Gein's brother, often spoke real ill of his mama, which really hurt Ed. Ed was a mama's boy, and anything Henry said about his mother, he was like, no, don't talk about mommy. I don't know why he got an English accent in my head. In my head, he got an English accent. You gonna deal with it, okay? On May 16th, 1944, Henry was burning some vegetation on the family farmland, and it got out of control, and the fire department had to come out there to help put it out. But in the midst of the chaos, Ed looked over to the left, and he was like, where my brother? Hold on. He ended up filing a missing persons report, and they ended up starting a search party for his brother Henry, and they found him face down. And they was like, oh, it was asphyxiation. Yeah, that's what that was. That's what he died of. No, love. No. That's what he was legal. That's the entire legal situation. They didn't look any further. If you ask me, that was his first victim. Ed Gein was on that farm singing Dreezy. Oh, yeah, it's going down. I'm about to catch a body. That's exactly what he did, if you ask me. Shortly after that, Ed Gein's mama suffered 2 strokes, one which left her disabled and another one which almost took her up out of here. And she sadly ended up passing away December 29th of 1945. And child, that was the worst thing that could have happened to poor little Edwisha, honey, because that was his only friend in the world. Ain't nobody else like Ed. Ed ain't get along with nobody else. He was socially awkward in school. He would be laughing and talking to himself. Always was a fairly bright child, but he just... something was off. His mama really did a number on him. And if you ask me, I blame her. Augusta, somebody need to slap the hell out of you. So, following his mother's death, Gein ended up boarding up and closing up all of the rooms in the house that his mother used to frequent often. So like the living room, her bedroom, he boarded it up and kept it in pristine condition. Meanwhile, he let the rest of the house go to hell in a handbasket. He held on to the farm and he did odd jobs to try to sustain himself, child. At this time, he started reading magazines and these pulp books about gobbling up the people, honey, and about the atrocities of them Germans in that time period and some of the things they got into. Specifically, a man named Isla Koch. I can't pronounce that name, and I'm not looking it up to learn it because he was a low-down, dirty son of a gun, and if I missaid his name, he deserves to have his name misspoken. He deserves to have his name mispronounced and gotten wrong. Apparently, he was selecting people to be executed because they had tattoos on their body. So he was like, oh yeah, this gonna be a real cute lampshade. Who do that? What is wrong with you? And Ed sitting here reading it like, oh yeah, that's sickening. No! Anyway, time goes by so slowly. November 16th of 1957, 58-year-old Bernice Warden went missing. A grown behind woman just upped and disappeared. Warden's son was a deputy sheriff. Now, this is where I say common sense ain't so common. If you're going to be around here doing foolery, I would think you would pick somebody that's not important. Like, I see why the other unalivers had their patterns and had their way of selecting victims. Like, they was like, oh, no, we're going to pick these homeless people. Yeah, we're going to get these smexy workers. That's who we going to get. Ain't nobody going to miss them. You know, if they get what's coming to them, people going to be like, oh, well, it was a smexy worker, you know. You going after the deputy sheriff mama? And it was like, oh, he was pretty bright in school. He wasn't that bright. He wasn't that bright at all. Her son, Frank Warden, entered the store, found the cash register open, and found traces of ketchup. Do with that what you will. Apparently, Gein was at the store the evening before poor Barbara's disappearance. And he also was the last receipt that Barbara had wrote down because he had purchased some antifreeze from her. I know them saxophones got real loud. I know she started hearing the loudest of saxophones. Poor Barbara. Barbara! Taylor! Anyway, that evening, Gein was arrested at the local grocery store. Now, just get an image of this in your brain. Imagine you in there shopping for some zucchini. Imagine you in there shopping for some nectarines. Imagine you got a hankering for some Granny Smith apples. And you in there getting your things, getting your produce, getting your groceries for the week. And you look over to the left and you see Edwisha Gein being tackled by the police, taken into custody for unaliving somebody. This little nerdy, quiet man that don't really bother nobody. He real close with the kids. And they arrested him. That would pique my interest. The police ended up searching his farm and they found poor Barbara. Barbara! Oh, Jesus Lord. I really hate that. I really hate that. Anyway, searched the farm, found Barbara, and they found many others. They found skin, flesh, bone, nether regions. Like, it was just the most disturbing of things to the people who discovered it. I could imagine walking in that house, and also I could imagine how it smelled. Because animal leather has a scent. I could only imagine how human skin was smelling back then. And then with the hygiene, I know the hygiene wasn't what it should have been. So I know that house smelled like House of 1,000 Corpses having a twerk off with the heat miser and Lucifer himself. I know that house was stank. I know it was stank. And I doubt he had air conditioning because he lived on a farm. He lived on a farm. Apparently, when they went to his house and did all of this investigating, they ended up going up to him and was like, hey, you got a human leather suit in your closet. What's up with that? And he was like, oh yeah, I robbed the graves of 9 women. I wanted to create a suit, a flesh suit, so I could become my mother. If you was non-binary, you could have just said that. If you was transgender, you could have just said that. You ain't have to go around here turning into Dreezy, catching bodies. Like, what is going on? Like, I don't like that. Anyway, when they was sitting here going through the house, they was like, oh, so you know, grave robbed 9 bodies, and then you took poor Barbara. You took Barbara up out of here. And he was like, yeah, and I also unalived this lady named Mary Hogan. And they were like, okay, well, what? How did you do that? What was? He was like, oh, I don't recall how I did it. I'm just letting you know I did it. One of them would have had to pull me up off of him because the entitlement in your voice, the way that you talking like these ain't people. You talking like these ain't, I'm about to, oh. And also, a 16-year-old youth in the community that hung out with Gein quite often told the police, oh yeah, and he also keeps some shrunken heads from his cousin that was in the Philippines in World War II. Come to find out, these was people's faces. This bastard had done dug around and removed and made face masks. What in the COVID-19? What in the Dr. Brand? What in the... Oh, God. Imagine that. And you ain't questioning because he said it was from the Philippines. But I would imagine the average face of a woman in Wisconsin looks nothing like a woman of the Filipino orientation. So, either one or two things. That 16-year-old wasn't too bright, or we need to get him too. Throw everybody in jail. Sheriff Art Shelley, I think that's that baby name, Lord bless his heart. It was too much for his soul to bear. And during his interrogation, he ended up grabbing Gein by the head and hitting his head into the wall. Come get your baddie chain. Come get your baddie chain. Because that's what we need to start doing. No, we need to start really getting these people. Like, y'all be around here trying to be like, oh, we just gonna send them to prison. We just gonna let them get their ones and twos. They gonna get they just doing prison. No, they don't. No, they don't. These people be in prison living their best life. They be eating ramen noodles, Little Debbie's, becoming friends with other perverts and murderers. And they just living the life. They living La Vida Locas. Living La Vida Locas. Meanwhile, the victim's family is in mourning. The church is in mourning. We trying to be the bigger people. No. We need to bring back crowd justice. Bring back street justice. Shout out to you, Art Shelley, for busting that man upside the head. Anyway, because of Art's assault on Ed Gein, his confession was inadmissible in court. You win some, you lose some. A win is a win. Shelley died of heart failure at the age of 43, shortly before Gein's trial. A lot of people close to him said that the things that he saw in that house traumatized him really badly, and that contributed to his death, which honestly, I can see it. Like, it's 2026 nowadays. Like, I'd be gooped and gagged if I went in somebody's house and saw human leather. Imagine the gooperization of the situation. You go in somebody's house and see a literal house of horrors in the 1950s and 60s. Like, anyway, ooh, that is disturbing. Gein ended up going to trial. They decided that he was not mentally fit to really be tried. They ended up retrying him, and they sentenced him to the state mental facility for the criminally insane in Wisconsin. And that's where he spent the rest of his days. I hope he got the most evil, nasty, rude, disrespectful, inconsiderate, self-absorbed CNA. I hope whatever medical assistant or aide was on his unit, in his floor, in his section, that was his direct caretaker, I hope she was real heavy-handed. I hope that his bed was a little too high off the ground and he tumbled one or two many times. And I'm glad that he's no longer with us. That's the true crime story time of Ed Gein, honey. Oh, I don't trust nobody. You all scare me.